Welcome. You're listening to the Human Resource. This is an interesting show because you've heard me talk about the HR Academy, and this is a group of or a collection of training materials, and I use them quite often. Came across a particular topic called "Do You Hear What I Hear?" And I thought it might be kind of fun to use it as the topic for the show today because it's interesting how many times I'll go in and talk to a client and they'll say, well, we never thought this was going to happen. We never saw this coming. And when we actually start talking about what's going on with a particular employee, it turns out that they were getting little signals all along, but they just weren't putting them all together. And how many times have I told you guys that we really have to try to be as proactive as possible? It's healthier for the company when we can try to prevent things before they happen. And this exercise, I think, is just absolutely delightful because it gives us an opportunity to train our supervisors or maybe even hone our own instincts and skills to know that when somebody's saying certain things, they're actually saying more than we're maybe acknowledging. So here's the first one. And what this exercise basically does is it says, listen carefully to what is said and what do you hear. So the first phrase is, I don't want to work with that person. If you have an employee that says, well, I don't want to work with that person, what are they actually telling you? And it is our responsibility to train our frontline supervisors, to train our team leads, to be listening to this kind of stuff. Because with my 40 years of experience, if I hear an employee say, I don't want to work with that person, my mind's already spinning going, okay, is it because they've been dating and they just broke up? Is it because that person's harassing them? Is it because that person is picking on them in some way? Is it because that person isn't well trained and just dumps all their work on that particular employee? You see, anytime you've got a lack of cooperation or collaboration, you need to figure out why. And that's such a simple phrase. I don't want to work with that person. But if you've got individuals who are showing a tendency to withdrawal, maybe they're not volunteering for work, maybe their attendance is even starting to go down. It could be that you've got a much, much bigger issue. And they're telling you. They're just not really telling you. How about, I'm never going to get anywhere with this company? And I know some of you are laughing because maybe you've said that yourself about where you're working currently. But think about it. If you hear that, what is that employee basically saying? It's one thing to have a bad day, but if you've got an employee that's saying that just in general, I'm never going to get anywhere in this company. What's happening? They're shutting down. You've got an employee who is losing interest. They're not going to take ownership of their work. They're not going to worry about coming up with innovative ideas. They're not feeling appreciated. They don't feel like they have an impact on the company. That is a conversation that you need to have with them to find out what are their goals, what are their aspirations. This younger generation, they want to know what their impact is on the company. And they have no problem leaving if you're not going to show any interest in them, if you're not going to hear them, include them, they're gone. And how excited are you in the thought of having to try to find somebody to replace any position in your company? How about the comment, well, this is a waste of time? And I have heard all levels of the company use that term. But, well, this is a waste of time. Is that a comment that somebody needs to be addressing? Look, I'm not telling you to get all wound up and create chaos. But what I am saying is, if I were the owner of a company and I heard that, I would absolutely be curious to hear more about what they feel needs to be improved. You see, what's really hard for some of us in the C-suite when we get to a certain level is that we don't really understand what's going on at the ground level. We don't really have our hands in the day to day. And the more we could understand what's actually going on, isn't there a good chance that we can improve efficiencies, improve productivity? We can applaud those that are doing really well, saving us money, taking care of our clients better. That's a comment that a lot of people will just walk away and laugh about. But I'm telling you from an HR perspective, that absolutely could affect your retention. It could affect the productivity of your teams. That's a comment that really needs to be dug into a little bit deeper. How about, I'm not feeling well again today? And I just spoke with an organization yesterday who had an individual who absolutely cannot come to work on a full week. She can't do it. Just not even possible. In fact, come to think of it, that comment was made this afternoon with a client, and she said, "Pandy, I don't understand, but they just the attendance is horrible, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do about it." I'm not feeling well again today could mean so many things. And remember, as individuals, we can't leave our emotions at the door. So even if it's not something going on in our professional lives, someone who's not feeling well could be having things in their personal life. There could be so many other reasons why. I'm not even running to ADA with this. My mind's not even going to FMLA with this. My mind's going to mental health. And I'm not feeling well again today. There's so many different levels to this. So again, remember, this tool is to start triggering your instincts and the listening skills in your supervisors, your management teams. Help them understand that these simple little comments can lead to so many other things. My neck is bothering me when I do that. If that doesn't trigger a thought of workers' comp, you absolutely need to start the interactive process with the comment prior and this one. My neck is bothering me when I do that. It could be, well, I'm sorry, but my hand, since I've started doing this work, my wrist is killing me. Or since I now have to walk from this end of the building to the other end of the building, my back's been bothering me. Those kind of comments cannot be ignored. Please understand how serious those particular, anything having to do with medical, anything having to do with health, those are comments that need to be attended to. And the individuals having those comments or confronting the comments need to partner with human resources or someone acting in that role. I think, and we could go on with this over and over again, but I think one of the things that this tool really tries to do is help us understand how important it is when someone listens to us and when we listen to others. Because actions speak louder than words. So, as I mentioned earlier, there may be all sorts of things or ways that these individuals may have been trying to tell us or sending messages to us. And if an employee does not feel like they're in a safe environment to share personal situations or what's going on with them in the workplace, when you finally give them the indication that you're listening to them and that you want to know more, that you're there to help, you cannot believe the relief that employee will feel. And it will come back to the company. I challenge supervisors and I challenge team leads when I'm working with them on these simple training teams. How can they change, or do they understand how they can change the environment or the culture of the organization when they really start listening and not prejudging, not predetermining or thinking that they've got it all figured out. It's funny, but listening is not something that we put on a job description or a job posting. The skill of being able to listen, gather information, and just partner, just engage. I know we say interpersonal skills, but this goes deeper. It goes so much deeper. So go back to your workplace, go back to your teams, and challenge yourself. What are you hearing? What are they hearing? And what could be the underlying message, the underlying reason for any and all of those comments? Go back and say, how can I help? I'm here. Just like we are here. We're here to help you. So send in your comments, because that's what we're here for. Right now, the human resource.